know. It was like their channel had a vibe, and that vibe was chaos and also death. Hello and welcome to another episode of Occasionally Insightful. I'm your host Elisa, and today I wanted to take a break from all the university exam stuff that have been the focus of the last couple of episodes and really go left of center. Like, this is, if we're talking obscure topics, this is probably really up there. I wanted to talk about a slightly bizarre and somewhat unconventional YouTube channel that no longer exists. Very intriguing. But before that, I actually want to talk about dinner. It's fasting month right now, and I am a little bit hungry at the moment, and I keep thinking about dinner from last night, and we made mashed potatoes with breaded deep fried chicken tenders chicken strips. That is honestly one of our family specialties, and I'm really craving it right now. It is a very simple meal. None of the components take a lot of skill to make, and nothing is complicated about it, but there is just something so beautifully delicious about its simplicity. And now I'm really thinking about it, and now I really, really want it. I keep saying to myself, like, if I were ever to open a restaurant, that would be like front and center on the menu. Like, if I were ever to open a food truck or sort of a fast food joint, quick service type of place, you're in, you're out, I think I would just focus on chicken strips and perhaps some sort of veggie option there as well, because I think with chicken strips, like, it's really easy, but also, like, it's just good food. It's just like, it's really hard to get it wrong. Plus, chicken strips are something that you can really play around with the flavor combinations in terms of the marinades, in terms of the spices you put in the breading. So, like, there are so many opportunities to play around with it and make it your own and customize. And I feel like, I don't know, I really want chicken strips, guys. I really want chicken strips and mashed potatoes. And I think also in this hypothetical, like, fast food joint of mine, I could also do like a mix of sides, like mashed potatoes, yes, a gravy, obviously, but sweet potato mash, fries, like the possibilities are not endless, because even though like there are a lot of possibilities with flavorings, there's only so many possibilities, but I still think it's like enough possibilities to make like a pretty substantial menu. Perhaps when I hit midlife crisis, that's what I'm gonna do. When I have my midlife crisis, I'm gonna abandon the corporate world and I'm going to go into the food service industry. Maybe. Yeah, but my point is, I'm a little bit hungry. I keep thinking about chicken tenders. And I know we just had them for dinner last night, but, if we had it for dinner 2 nights in a row, I wouldn't complain, I wouldn't complain. There is something very satisfying about, because I think also it's like, it's sort of, in a way, childish. In a good way. Like, it I think it like drums up like strings of nostalgia and takes you back to like simpler times, because like chicken strips and mashed potatoes sounds like something you would feed your kids, right? And so being able to eat that as an adult, I don't know, it's like, it's finger food, it's comfort food, it's satisfying food, it's not pretentious, it's honest, it's authentic. Guys, I really want chicken strips, in case I haven't said that enough times. Also, it was Earth Day yesterday. Technically, it's still Earth Day in some parts of the world. I'm recording this on the 23rd. Earth Day is on the 22nd of April. Yeah, I mean, I have some thoughts about Earth Day in the sense of, I like the spirit behind it, but it does seem like an excuse for sort of performative and pretentious acts. Like, I don't know, it feels like companies can say, oh, we are donating X amount of money because it's Earth Day. Meanwhile, they continue to pollute rivers. I mean, like, okay. It doesn't quite cancel out, but okay. Yeah, and I don't know if everyone had this experience, but I swear when I was growing up in school, they would say like, oh, on Earth Day, or oh no, it wasn't Earth Day, it was Earth Hour. Is Earth Hour on Earth Day? Okay, whenever Earth Hour was, it'd be like, oh, you have to turn off all your lights and not use any electricity for 1 hour. Thinking back, I'm like, did that? I mean, I'm sure it did something, but did it really do anything? Like, I don't know. Earth Day, Earth Hour, like, I'm sure they have a lot of good intent behind it, and I'm sure they are, you know, it's a good excuse to get conversation started, like, and to bring up issues about climate change and environmental health that we don't normally talk about in day-to-day conversation. But even so, the gestures that people do in honor of Earth Day, Earth Hour, they do feel kind of performative. But speaking on the climate, something that I've been thinking about doing lately is going vegetarian/vegan, like full on cutting out meat and all animal products in at least my diet, if not my whole life. I would definitely start with food because I think food is the most obvious place, but eventually, yeah, I think I would go like animal free in all aspects of my life. So in makeup products, in clothes, in just day-to-day life. I watched a couple of documentaries on Netflix recently, and I do want to make full-on episodes about both of them. Perhaps both of them would share one episode. I'm still figuring it out, because they're really interesting. And as a geographer, talking about the food and agriculture industry is always going to be so exciting to me. Like, it is a kind of morbid topic. But I mean, exciting and interesting in the sense of like, there are so many debates and so many controversies and so many issues to pick apart and discuss, and so many power politics at play, that as a geographer, as someone who's had the sort of background that I've had, and it is just so interesting to pick apart and look and say, guys, everything is not what it seems, okay? I really enjoy talking about and having discussions about the food and agriculture industry. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, so on the back of watching these documentaries, I do want to go vegan. When I was at university, I was mostly vegetarian. That was more out of necessity than more out of necessity than by choice, because in addition to being the reason why I went vegetarian is because I am a Muslim, and therefore I need to eat halal meat, and halal meat is not as widely available or as accessible in the UK, in Cambridge, as it is here in Malaysia. So basically I went vegetarian because I couldn't get meat so easily. And you know what? It wasn't that bad. I quite enjoyed my life as a vegetarian. I didn't feel like, sometimes, I didn't really get cravings for meat or fish. Sometimes I'd be like, oh, I remember actually in my third year, I was just really, really, really craving chicken nuggets. Just like for like several months, I was craving chicken nuggets. And I remember when I came back home, after, like, you know, towards the end of third year, when I came back home, one of the first things that I made my family get was just buy me 9-piece chicken nugget, no sharing. I want 9 pieces to myself. And I did. So I was very happy. Like, I have been wanting those chicken nuggets for months, and I finally got them, and I was so happy. Yeah, so but apart from that, like, kind of amusing incident, I didn't really get cravings for the meat. I didn't really get cravings for seafood. I was actually I was a vegetarian, so I was still drinking cow's milk. I was still using butter. I was still eating eggs. But I think at least going vegetarian would not be such an issue for me. And I, you know, I've been doing that thing of going on Pinterest and like saving all the cool recipes that I want to try. But I really do want to at some point work myself up to become fully vegan and live a fully plant-based lifestyle. Now by choice. Now because like I really am conscious of my environmental footprint, and you know, it's as Emma Watson said, if not now, when? If not us, who? I'm not exactly sure what the quote is, but it's something along those lines, right? Yeah, so I'm not making any promises as to when, you know, by like I'm not setting myself like an exact time frame by which I want to be completely vegan. Like, I'm not saying within the next month I will, but I'm hoping that I can at least start to make swaps and start reducing my meat consumption, my seafood consumption, and you know, maybe within the year, maybe by this time next year, by next year's Earth Day, we'll see how far I am along. You know, by next year's Earth Day, I would like to have at least gone vegetarian, if not fully vegan. I think, yeah, I'm saying it right here, right now, guys. Inshallah, within the next year, you know, by the next Earth Day, I would have at least made some switches to live to have a more sustainable diet. Because the world needs it. And, you know, be the change you want to see in the world. I think the issue is not necessarily, like, the issue is kind of getting the rest of my family to join in. I mean, I'm not going to force anybody, but I think my sister would participate. The only issue is that, like, she's not the biggest fan of vegetables. She hates mushrooms. I love mushrooms. I feel like as a vegan, I would really survive on mushrooms. And I mean the actual mushrooms, not like magic mushrooms, guys. Yeah. So I'm quite excited about wanting to take this step. Like I said, I've been meaning to go, well, not meaning, but like I've been thinking about making the lifestyle change for a while now. And yeah, watching those documentaries really was the push I needed to say, like, okay, you know what, let's try and make this happen. So undoubtedly, you know, I'll keep you updated as and when developments come. And if any of you have like good recipes or pieces of advice, more than happy to listen. Leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube, or you can send them to me in an email. You can send it to occasionalyinsightfulpodcast@gmail.com. Occasionally is spelled with 2 C's, 1 S, and 2 L's. I do realize that I could have picked a better name for the pod, but honestly, I just like the ring of occasionally insightful. Speaking of names, or rather speaking of interesting names, I wanted to go back to the meat of today's episode. Meat, no pun intended. I know we were talking about chicken a while ago and, you know, cutting out meat, going vegan, but, you know, the meat of today's episode, this mystery not mystery YouTube channel, but a mysterious YouTube channel. They were called Unus Annus. And yes, were the past tense. It's a whole story, guys. So Unus Annus means 1 year in Latin. And, well, it was an interesting year. So Unus Annus was a channel created by two YouTubers, who you may or may not have heard of. It was created by Markiplier and CrankGamePlays, otherwise known as Mark and Ethan. Markiplier is one of the biggest gaming YouTubers out there, if not one of the biggest YouTubers on the platform. I think he has something like 10 million subscribers, if not more. I haven't looked, honestly, recently. And CrankGamePlays, aka Ethan, he's on the rise. Dude, he's on the rise, and I really do enjoy watching his content. He's a sweetheart. He's funny. He's chaotic. What's not to love? And he's, I think, on the 2 point something mark, maybe 3, maybe more. Again, I don't really keep track of YouTuber subscriber counts. I just come to watch the videos. Yeah, but Mark and Ethan had been friends for a long while prior to starting Unus Annus. And so it was a joint venture between the two of them. Unus Annus came into existence on, if I'm not mistaken, the 15th of November, 2019. And the channel died, and by died, I mean got deleted, on Friday the 13th of November, 2020. Yeah, so, I mean, it was a very fitting day for that particular channel to die. And you might be confused as to, why did two massive YouTubers come together to create this intriguing sounding channel? And B, why did they delete said intriguing sounding channel in the space of 1 year? By the way, I'm not sure if I should be talking about this, because it kind of feels like once I put out this episode, there'll be like people like out to assassinate me or something. Because yeah, it not in the sense of like this community is violent, but just there's a lot of lore and there's a lot of backstory, and you know, we all kind of pretend that Unus Annus was a figment of everyone's imagination, and you know, it didn't really exist. And you know, we just talk about redacted channel or unnamed channel or non-existent channel, like it, you know, we never say the name. But I want to talk about it, and I want to share my experience, because I did learn a lot about myself and a lot about life in general from watching their videos for a year. So, Unus Annus, Mark and Ethan. They deleted the channel after exactly 1 year. And in between coming into being and dying, they uploaded a video every single day for a straight year onto the channel. Like absolutely no misses. I mean, sometimes the videos were late, but absolutely no missed days. Like 365 videos uploaded onto that channel, which in itself is a feat. And this is not like daily vlogging, you know, unedited kind of videos either. This is like little crazily, you know, you've got effects, you've got actual work. Like you can see the work that went into making those videos. And I mean, like, don't get me wrong, sometimes the videos were still like questionable, but you could still see the work that went into them, and you're like, okay, you tried. So yeah, Mark and Ethan, I don't know if I mentioned this, but Mark and Ethan are both gamers. They make gaming content. They stream on Twitch. If you go onto their channels, you can see they are gaming YouTubers. But Unus Annus was not a gaming channel. It was this podcast dialed to the max. Like chaos. And more chaos. But also some sense of order sometimes. They honestly managed to make videos about anything and still make it entertaining. Which I think is one of the things I really loved about the channel, and I loved about Mark and Ethan interacting within the channel. Is like you can really see the chemistry. Like they click as friends, and it was just wonderful to watch their friendship pan out and sort of evolve over the course of 365 days. So honestly, guys, like the videos were all over the place, but all over the place in the best way possible. Some titles, or not some titles, but like some particular videos that come to mind is like, will it snow cone? Best pairings to go with an Oreo, making a sensory deprivation chamber, making a sensory overload chamber, going and testing a sensory deprivation chamber, exploring the pink trombone, which is like this voice simulator software, exploring some funky AI sites which produce some really disturbing imagery, doing an escape room, two truths, one lie, waxing edition. That happens to be one of my favorite videos of all time. Consuming consuming 1 gallon of Jello, recreating this TikTok challenge, the koala TikTok challenge, where one person has to climb around the other person, but like the one person who's climbing can't touch the floor and they had to climb around the person like a koala. It was chaos. It was the best. Cryptid Olympics, learning, they were learning various skills. They were learning aerial hoops, fire eating, walking on glass, glass blowing, archery, giving each other ear piercings, giving each other temporary tattoos blindfolded, getting pepper sprayed. Oh yeah, that was an iconic one. Churning butter the old fashioned way, making gourmet food for their dogs, making sausages, consuming way too many hot dogs. Like it was really a lot. It was really like I said, chaos, but chaos in the best way possible. Some of the content was really like bottom of the barrel, but like it was like bottom of the barrel in the most complimentary way possible. Like sometimes you produce the best pieces of content when you don't have anything to work with. And so, like, even though I say bottom of the barrel, it was still good. And I still enjoyed watching those videos. And I think when you post a video every single day, scraping the bottom of the barrel is to be expected. But somehow they still managed to make it pretty amazing. Pardon my language there. I get, they were good, guys. And I really miss that channel, I have to say. Yeah, so you may or may not be wondering how I discovered them, because I promise you, I've only in the last year started watching gaming videos. And the reason being was, I had a friend, who was into gaming. He was into video games. And this friend introduced me to Markiplier. I forget how exactly that happened, but he just sent me a couple of Markiplier videos and I watched them and I was like, you know what? Oh, Mark is a cool guy. He's not like, there are some pretty like gaming, the world of gaming can be hit or miss. Like, I feel like a lot of people will actually be really into watching gaming content because there's a certain, it's nice. Like, there's a certain, I don't know, it's just nice. It's kind of fun in its own way, watching someone play through a game. But you really need to find the content creators that work for you. Like, some gamers are just way too abrasive and way too loud and way too energetic for me. And I'm like, no, I can't deal with you. I don't want to hear you screaming in my ear. And some of them are just a little too monotone and a little too just, their voice kind of just sounds like a never-ending drone. Again, that's not really what I'm into. No hate if you like either of those kinds of creators. Like, you know, if you enjoy them, you enjoy them. But Markiplier is kind of like a good in-between, whereby, like, he's funny and he's kind of sarcastic and he's kind of stereotypical gamer in a few ways, but he's also pretty genuine and pretty authentic, and just, you can tell that he's a really nice person. So I was really attracted to him after watching those initial videos that my friend sent me. And so I started watching more of his videos. And at that time, so this was probably August or September of 2020. I would say I would say August of 2020. That this was happening. And then when I was watching Mark's videos, he kept mentioning this thing, Unus Annus, you know, this channel, Unus Annus. And I was like, what is Unus Annus? So I went and I looked it up on YouTube, and I was like, okay, this is chaos. I love it. That's just, you know, it really resonated with my sense of humor. So I started watching Unus Annus. I really did fall in love with that, just that chaotic sense of humor. I don't remember what the first Unus Annus video I watched was, because I really don't, because I'm pretty sure, like, I watched quite a few, you know, because I like to binge videos. But yeah, from the moment I started watching them, I was like, these guys are good. These guys are funny. These guys, like, I have found my community. And then I was so sad to, you know, as I looked into it and as I learned more, I was like, oh, they're not going to be here in a few months' time. And I'll get more into that in a bit. But it was like, okay, like, it was a very interesting concept. Clearly nothing like that had ever been done on YouTube before. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get into it. I'm going to enjoy. Like, I'm glad I discovered them when I did, because I still had a few months to enjoy their content and, you know, be part of the journey and go back and watch old content and just like I said, enjoy the chaos. I keep on saying chaos, but I don't want you to take chaos as a bad thing. Like, chaos is what made them so good. There is beauty in the disorganized mess, you know? Like, it was just, I loved it. I loved it so much. I love the randomness of their content, and I loved, like I said, the chemistry between them two. And I've never quite seen that, that kind, like the way they just bounce off each other so effortlessly, and the way they just, they whenever they do a bit, it doesn't always feel planned. But somehow it still feels like, oh yeah, it was that is the only way this video could have panned out. I don't know. It's just, they made good content, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I really don't think that Unus Annus could have been done by any other pairing. Like, Mark and Ethan are Unus Annus. And I feel like we can't talk about Unus Annus without talking about the community. I don't know. I don't think it's right to call them fans. And I mean, I like, just the community of people who watch Unus Annus were so amazing. And so, like, in another life, they could have all been like secret agents, I feel, or detectives or something. Like they're like, I don't know. It was just a really cool community. Also, like the fan art, guys, the fan art, spectacular. Like I have been part of fandoms before and I've seen fan art. Fan art is almost always just so incredible and, you know, people are so talented. But I feel like the fan art of people in the Unus Annus community is like next level. So good. So good. People are so talented. I don't want to say I'm jealous, but like I do wish some of their talent I could absorb it via osmosis, or like it could diffuse into me and I could just have like even a drop of talent that some of these people had. Like, oh, chef's kiss, spectacular. Yeah. And I also, something that I really also loved about Unus Annus is that they both really leaned into the world that they were creating. The world of Unus Annus. Unus and Annus became characters. Ethan was Unus, Mark was Annus. Like, and I might get into massive trouble for saying that because Unus and Annus are their own separate people. Like, it's a whole thing. Guys, like I said, like, I don't even know if I should be talking about this channel at all. But, you know, like, Unus was wearing always, like, whenever Unus the character was, like, whenever Unus the character appeared, it was, like, in a full black suit. Whenever Annus the character appeared, it was, like, in a full white suit. Like, they really leaned into it. You know, and, like, the recurring motif of black and white spirals appearing. And it was just, yeah. I don't know. It was like their channel had a vibe, and that vibe was chaos and also death. Or no, not death, but sort of, not death per se, but sort of mortality and the impermanence of life. And so with that leads us into a nice segue. Is it segue or segue? I think the word in my mind is segue, and I think that's the right word. But anyway, that leads us nicely into the next section that I wanted to talk about, which is Unus Annus lore. Like I said, they were really creating this world of Unus Annus. And they were planning to, they said it in the description of every single video, and Mark and Ethan themselves said it every time they talked about Unus Annus on their own channels. But Unus Annus, the channel, and the characters, and the community, the community on the channel would no longer exist after 1 year. Which is crazy, because, you know, they were putting in so much work into all these videos, and they were putting out a video every single day. And then they were just going to delete everything. Like, it sounds insane, but that's exactly what they did. And so, you know, the question that they kept bringing up was, how are you going to spend your time? If you knew that you only had 1 year left to live, how would you spend your time? How would you make the most of it? How, would you live your life to the fullest, or would you sort of sit about and mope and just be upset? And so this channel was them living their life to the fullest. And I think, one thing that really reinforced every single time. So what they did at the beginning and end of their videos was they would have their countdown clock. So the video would open with this digital clock ticking down to the final hour, and it would end with the clock, with the same clock ticking down. And it would open and end also with this like cult like chanting of Unus Annus, Unus Annus. Oh, and oh my god, I miss the videos, guys. I miss the videos so much. And it was like, okay, they said that they weren't a cult, but I swear, if they wanted to make it a cult, people would join. People would seriously join them. But by putting that clock, that countdown at the start and end of every video, it's this constant reminder that the clock is always ticking and it's never going to stop. There is nothing you can do to stop it. It's getting ever and ever closer to the final hour. And, as time drew closer to Friday, 13th of November, to the final, to the day of deletion, as it were, there were people who were like saying, stop the clock. We can, if we all band together, we can get them to stop the clock. But that's the whole point. Like, no matter what you do, no matter how many people come together, no matter how people beg or plead or try to reason with you, time goes on. And when it's time to die, it's time to die. And I think that is a very powerful lesson for everyone. Like, you can't, no matter how much you might want to, you can't extend the life of something. You have to just accept it. Accept that the end is coming. And you have to just make the most out of the time that you have. Like I said earlier, themes of death, mortality, impermanence permeated every video. I would say that it was a very, very consistent through line. Each video was sort of its own self-contained unit. Like, you could watch the videos out of order in a completely random way, and you wouldn't lose out. Like, you wouldn't but the best way to put it is this: like, some people have put out screenshots of like Unus Annus out of context, or used Unus Annus quotes out of context. But then I'm just here thinking, like, every single Unus Annus video is basically just out of context. Like, watching the videos in order versus watching the videos out of order makes no difference, because everything is just chaos either way. And so each video was its own self-contained unit. I mean, they had a couple of series here and there, but each video was its own self-contained unit. And despite that, there was this sort of continuing thread of mortality and making the most of your time, and time is running out, and sort of the death is coming, the end is always coming. And playing into that sort of death and mortality theme, Unus and Annus, or Mark and Ethan, whether you think they're the same persons or sort of separate entities, like Unus is a separate entity to Ethan. Unus and Annus would quote unquote die quite regularly in videos. Like, they would get stabbed, or they would fall on a bed of nails, or they would get gravely injured, or it seems that the characters of Unus and Annus kept on dying in videos, but then they came back in the next video. If you want to learn, or not learn, but sort of hear someone more eloquently explain that, I think you should go and check out Matt Pat's video on Unus Annus. I forget whether he posted it on Game Theory or Film Theory. But yeah, just search up Matt Pat, Unus Annus. I'm not sure if it's up, because he might have deleted it when Unus Annus got deleted. But if it's still up, I would recommend you go and watch it, because he did a whole video on them, and he did it quite well. And he explains it in a much better way than I do. So he also explores the lore, and you can go take a look, because he talks about this whole concept of Unus and Annus dying, and about this whole concept of stopping the clock. And it was a really well made, interesting video. So we then come to Friday, 13th November 2020, and I do think it was quite fitting that Unus Annus, for most of Unus Annus's life, COVID was a thing, and they had to make a bunch of videos whilst in quarantine at home, whilst isolation, enforced social distancing, physical distancing was a thing, right? I do think it's quite fitting that Unus Annus happened now. You know, Allah, I suppose Allah works in, you know, Allah knows best. And I think it was a nice, I couldn't have imagined, I don't think Unus Annus would have resonated as much if it were in a different year and if COVID weren't a thing. Anyway, so yeah, they made a fair few videos, like a couple of months, at least 2-3 months worth of videos, digitally, whilst in their own separate homes. And, you know, again, sometimes bottom of the barrel content, but still pretty interesting in its own way. I'm not mad at it. But I digress. And I was about to talk about the Friday 13th of November, the day of deletion, the day of their final 12-hour live stream. They live streamed from 12 p.m. Pacific time? Is Pacific time like the time zone that California is in? Because, yeah, Pacific time, if so. Yeah, so they live stream from 12 p.m. Pacific to 12 a.m. essentially, so 12 hours. Yes, 12 to 12 hours. My God. In case you didn't know what 12 hours means, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. is 12 hours. How many times can I say 12 in a sentence? Yeah, but 12 p.m. Pacific translated to 4 a.m. Malaysia time, I think. I was like 4 or 5 in the morning, and you can bet that I woke up. I woke up at 4 to tune in. Yeah, but it was a 12-hour live stream of them, you know, watching old videos, talking about behind the scenes stuff, interviews with the editors. Guys, the editors of Unus Annus, I think by the end of it, they had 4 editors like working on rotation with the videos. And the editors really made, like Unus and Annus, like Mark and Ethan, obviously like being on camera, you know, they brought the chaos, but then the editors sort of took that chaos and turned up the volume in the edit. Like I think, like I said, like Unus Annus videos have a certain vibe, have a certain look, and I think that vibe and look is often partly delivered through the style of the edit and the skill of the editor. So really, like, chef's kiss, everyone on the team. Beautiful. And to think, like, they were pumping so many of these videos out, like a video every single day. Like, the amount of work that goes, and you know, you can tell that a lot of effort and a lot of time went into each video. So you can just, it's just mind-blowing yeah, it's just mind-blowing to think about just how much skill these guys have. I am impressed, honestly. Like, yeah, so ending live stream, interviews with the editors and getting to see like highlight reels that the editors had sliced together. So cool. Oh my God, we haven't talked about the merch. Unus Annus merch. If there's one thing I kind of regret, it's not getting Unus Annus merch. I wanted to, guys. I wanted to so bad. I was just scared to order. Not scared to order online, but scared about, like, you know, COVID times and shipment, and just I didn't really want to deal with the issues of having to wait several weeks to not get my package or something. You know, I wanted Unus Annus merch so bad, like the shirts and the long sleeve tops and the everything looks so good, looks so cool, and I didn't get any, and I think that it's going to be one of the biggest regrets that I have. Not biggest regrets, but like, just it's gonna sadden me every time I think about the merch that I didn't get. Because guys, honestly, it looks so sick. It looks so slick. Just black and white. Unus Annus, skulls. Ugh, you love to see it. Sorry, I'm just fangirling over the merch. Yeah, so this live stream, Unus in all black, Annus in all white. They have a coffin. Oh my God, there was a video that they made, which is like going to make a coffin. I can't remember the exact title, but it was about them going to visit like a coffin maker and learn about coffins. And they designed a custom coffin. And this custom coffin appeared on the live stream. It was just there, front and center. And it was like, imagine vertically down the coffin. One half is black, one half is white. So cool. And it was like, you know, it was like I can't remember the name, but like the not like the rectangular coffins, but it was the coffins that kind of looked like a hexagon, like where it sort of narrows down, where it flares out where your shoulders would be, and then it narrows down after that point to where your toes would be. So cool looking. And what else in that stream? Like in the back, they have their clock, and that clock is ticking down. And remember that there's only 12 hours left to Unus Annus's life. So that clock there's less than 24 hours, and it's ticking and it's ticking and it's ticking, and you can just see it in the background the whole time. Yeah, so I mean, they watched all videos. That was fun. And it was nice to hear them like commenting. It was nice to sort of relive those videos with them. I couldn't watch the whole stream, but I was there for the first couple of hours in the morning. And then because it was Saturday for me, it was Friday 13th for them. It was Saturday morning for me. So, in the morning we went out, had breakfast, but then I came back home and I watched the last few hours of the stream. I watched it with my friend, the friend who had originally introduced me to Unus Annus. The friend who had introduced me to Mark. And through him, I discovered Unus Annus. I actually introduced him to Unus Annus. Like, I made him watch some videos. I sent him some videos to watch. So we kind of watched it together. And by watched it together, I mean like we were on a call. Both of us were watching Unus Annus, the live stream, on our own like desktops or laptops, but we were also on a call at the same time, so we could like talk and react to each other. That was a fun time. But also like, you know that this is the last time you're ever gonna see Unus and Annus. And it was emotional. I was emotional. It was surreal to know that you are part of the end of something and you are watching something have its last moments. It's sad. It's bittersweet. No, it's not sad. Yeah, it's bittersweet. You kind of want to be there. You want to enjoy the moment. But a part of you is like, oh, these videos that I really connected with, that have really gotten me through these past couple of months, they're not going to exist in a few hours. They're going to be gone completely. And it was surreal to be part of this moment and to see that clock tick down from hours, and then it became like less than 1 hour, and then it became a few minutes, and then, they deleted the channel and everything disappeared. And it was sad. It was so, yeah, I think I did tear up a little bit right at the end. It was just like, I knew that this was coming. I knew that this was coming so long ago. Like when I started watching them, I knew that eventually they would be gone. But still, like, it was a shock to see that all the videos disappeared and to have the live stream just end abruptly. It was wild. It was wild. Yeah, so I don't think I've mentioned this explicitly, but Mark and Ethan did not and do not want the videos to be re-uploaded. That is their wish. So when I say that Unus Annus is gone, it's gone. No one's allowed to re-upload those videos. And, you shouldn't re-upload anyone's videos anyway. Like, that's plagiarism, that's stealing, that's you're claiming someone else's work as your own. Hello, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. But yeah, Mark and Ethan and their teams have been, I'm sure they've been working hard to take down anyone who's been uploading the full length videos. Fan edits and sort of compilation videos have been okayed. But full length videos are a no-no. And speaking of fan compilations and edits, if you want to go and see the chaos of Unus Annus, I recommend you go and watch those compilations. They are hilarious. Sometimes I go back and watch them just when I feel nostalgic and I just want to see and I just want to laugh. But oh my god, guys. When I say chaos, I really do mean chaos. It doesn't make sense really, but it's just funny. It's just good. It's just nice to have a taste of what Unus Annus was. Yeah, so Mark and Ethan wanted Unus Annus to live on as memories, to live on, don't upload the videos or don't re-upload the videos. But you can't take away the memories that people have formed through watching Unus Annus and the connections that were made, and Unus Annus continues to live on, at least in our hearts and in our minds. And I've always wanted to just sit down and talk about my thoughts. And in a way, this episode allows me to document my feelings. And one day, maybe, when my memory fails me, I can come back to this episode and I can be like, oh yeah, those guys, I remember. 2 Truths, 1 Lie, waxing edition. That was a trip. Unus Annus lives on as memories, and I think there's a lot that I took away from watching Unus Annus and from being on that journey, or being at least part of that journey, right? And I want to talk about those in a second, but in the immediate aftermath of them deleting their channel, and they also deleted all of their social media. So they had like a Unus Annus Twitter, a Reddit community, Instagram page. I mean, they weren't super active. I mean, the Reddit was popping, but the Twitter and the Instagram were less popping. And yeah, so they privated all of those accounts, and yeah, it was just wild to see them follow through on everything. Like, I knew that they were going to. I had no doubt that they wouldn't. But at the same time, part of you is like, you're serious. Okay. No playing around here. Yeah. In the immediate aftermath, my friend and I talked for a bit. And we had a few discussions about Unus Annus in the couple of weeks following. I know this sounds very serious. It sounds like a friend had died, but to me, it kind of did, because I felt weird to lose Unus Annus. I had gotten used to my morning routine of waking up to there being a new Unus Annus video, and so I would get ready in the mornings, and then I would sit and then watch the video, or maybe I'd save it for just before going to bed. But most days, I would watch it before I started work, and it felt weird to lose that in my routine. So it did in its way. I did feel like I lost something. I did feel like something was missing in my life for a while. But yeah, my friend and I, after Unus Annus ended, we had a few discussions about it, and I was always more I was always more just respecting Unus Annus, the channel, the legacy, for what Mark and Ethan intended, which is to say, like, Unus Annus lives on as memories. The videos are gone. Physically, like, the physical video is gone. Or at least, you know, our video is physical, the digital video is gone. But in your mind, you still have recollections of it, right? And I didn't want to go, like, trying to find a way to get access to those videos or download them. Not to re-upload, not even to re-upload, just to have them for personal consumption. Whereas he was more set on finding a way to get hold of them to watch himself. And also to share with, you know, future partners, future friends, future kids. Because, yeah, I do get that. It's a real shame to want to talk about this amazing YouTube channel and to want to share the videos from this amazing YouTube channel, but then you can't because the YouTube channel doesn't exist. And I wish I could say to you guys, you know, maybe some of you are like, oh, I wish I could go watch it. I'm sorry, you can't, because the videos aren't there anymore. You can watch the compilations, but it's not the same. So my friend was, he was, I don't want to say upset, but he was more like, oh, I'm gonna, like, he wanted to find a way to get hold of those videos. And I didn't agree with that. I still don't. Like, I understand why someone would want to do it, just to have it for themselves, right? But that, I feel like you're kind of missing the point of why Unus Annus existed. Like, if Unus Annus was an actual person, who died, there is no way to get that person back. There is no way to bring that person back to life. You know, you have memories of them and you have stories about them, but there is no way to bring that person back. And I feel like Mark and Ethan were really trying to create that same experience, like Unus Annus as the channel, as well as Unus and Annus, the characters that Mark and Ethan portrayed. They were their own entities. And when the channel died, everything, the entities died too. And therefore, you know, they wanted us to treat those entities in the same way that you would approach someone who had actually died, which is to say, you know, it's normal to mourn and to feel, in a way, a grief, but at the end of the day, you can't bring them back, and there is no way to circumvent it. There's no way to get around it. You can't bring them back. I remember that. So like I said, my friend and I were on a call whilst we were watching Unus Annus. And he had his YouTube set to autoplay. So when the live stream ended, it started to autoplay an Unus Annus video, right? Because although the channel had been deleted, because he hadn't refreshed his YouTube, and because like it hadn't fully loaded, you know, and the whole channel deletion hadn't, I guess, I don't know how YouTube works, but like it autoplayed and the video could still play fully. And I just remember this feeling of like, we're doing something wrong. Like, this is not allowed. This is illegal. Like, this is wrong. We shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't be doing this. Like, it just felt so wrong to be watching an Unus Annus video after Unus Annus had died. Like, it felt in a way sacrilegious. Like, it just felt so, I'm going against Mark and Ethan's wishes. I'm violating, like I cannot describe to you like how just, it felt so wrong. And I couldn't watch it and I couldn't enjoy it. Like I was just like, no, I don't want to see it. He continued playing it, but I kind of just put him on mute and I wasn't listening. I couldn't. And I know it sounds kind of weird, but when I tell you that these videos really did impact me, not in a kind of I want to change my life kind of way, but just they meant a lot to me. And so I know it does sound a bit dramatic, like, oh, why was she like grieving and mourning the loss of this channel? Like, it's just a YouTube channel. Like, why was it so serious? It's because it's not just the videos, but it's the whole experience of being part of that community and part of that moment of history, right? Like, I hope that I've managed to at least convey to you some sense of how surreal and unique and special Unus Annus was. Yeah, but like I said, my friend was, I think in the end he did somehow manage to get like a torrent of Unus Annus videos that he could download. I think he mentioned that to me. We don't speak as much anymore, so I you know, we kind of lost touch, so I honestly don't know. But yeah, since Unus Annus got deleted, people have tried to re-upload the full videos. I don't know. I think they got taken down. But even still, like, I wouldn't go and seek them out. Like, I personally don't want to go seek them out because it feels wrong. You know, sometimes things feel wrong and you can't describe why. They just feel morally wrong. Like there's a gut instinct in you saying that you shouldn't be doing this. That's how I feel when I watch Unus Annus videos after, or when I consider the concept of watching an Unus Annus video post deletion. Because I also think that part of the appeal to me of Unus Annus was the knowledge that they were going to die and that this video would soon be gone. And so it kind of, the video watching experience is different. It makes you absorb it more. It makes you appreciate it more. It makes you sort of store it in a different place in your mind, because it's like, oh, this is special. I need to store it in a safe place because I don't want to risk losing this memory. It's like, you know, imagine your favorite YouTuber. Imagine your favorite YouTuber. And imagine if they put out a video that said, this video will self-destruct in 24 hours. I mean, you would go and watch it. And if it was a cool video, like if it wasn't a jokey, like, haha, it's self-destructing in 24 hours. Like if it was a serious video, you would watch it. And I feel like you would watch it because you want to be part of, you want to be part of that group of people who are there to see something that people too late wouldn't be able to see. I don't think I expressed that very well. But what I'm trying to say is part of the appeal of Unus Annus was being part of a community of people who being part of a very specific community of people. Like, not everyone will have watched Unus Annus. Not everyone will understand what I'm talking about, but the people who do and the people who get me, I feel like I feel honored to be part of that community. You know what I'm saying? I should also mention, you know, I was earlier talking about like the visuals and sort of the little quirks that you associate with Unus Annus. Now, whenever I see the Latin phrase Memento Mori, Unus Annus. And there's also this like hand gesture they used to do, which is like where you take your hands, you sort of spread your fingers apart and then you just touch the tips of your fingers together, and you sort of, yeah, that's the Unus Annus hand pose. So whenever I see someone making those hands, like people sometimes make like those hands to think when they sort of spread their fingers apart and they're like touching the tips of their fingers together.
it looks like thinking hands, but whenever I see someone do it, I'm like, oh, Unus Annus. And whenever I see black and white or black and white spirals, I'm like, oh, Unus Annus. Whenever I see skulls, oh, Unus Annus. There are just some things in my mind that my mind now automatically associates with Unus Annus. Yeah, like I said, Unus Annus has really impacted me in a lot of ways. I think most prominently, it's really hammered home this idea that the clock is always ticking and you never know how much more time you have. And therefore, it's a very, very, very poignant lesson in nothing lasts forever. You know, it's one of the things that I love about Unus Annus. Like I said, that this was a YouTube channel that was just pure and utter chaos. And yet somehow, they managed to hammer home this beautiful message of you've got to take advantage of what time you have, and you have to assume that tomorrow is not guaranteed, which I think is a very, you know, how can it bring it back to religion for a second? It's a very Islamic thing to. Yeah, in its way, it's kind of Islamic in the sense of like, tomorrow is never guaranteed. Tomorrow will never come. You know, you should never put things off because you can't guarantee that tomorrow will come. So you should do things now. Not procrastinate, I suppose, but I haven't quite internalized the message of not procrastinating. Anyway, yeah, tomorrow is never guaranteed. The clock is always ticking. You should live your life to the fullest now, and you should live like there is no tomorrow. I mean, okay, live like there's no tomorrow is kind of a problematic phrase, but what I'm trying to say is tomorrow is not guaranteed, and so never take anything for granted, which I think is part of the reason why I was so upset with the idea of my friend like trying to get the Unus Annus videos, because I'm like, in my head I'm like thinking like, did you not? It just feels like he completely missed the message of what Unus Annus was trying to bring. And no hate to this person if they're listening. I still care about him very much, but you know, at the time, to me, it just felt like he didn't appreciate or like completely missed the message of Unus Annus. And the fact like it felt like he didn't, you know, take advantage of Unus Annus while it was here, and didn't, you know, try and absorb every last second of video, and didn't make the most of the time that he had with Unus Annus. And it felt like, you know, cheating death or trying to cheat death and trying to find a workaround just felt lazy. And it felt like he didn't really appreciate Unus Annus, because I feel like to appreciate Unus Annus is to appreciate the impermanence of Unus Annus, and is to make the most of Unus Annus whilst Unus Annus was still quote unquote alive, right? And if you try and watch it after, you completely miss that whole aspect of the channel. And if I feel that, to me, that aspect of the channel is what made the channel special. Watching the videos without that without being in that context, without watching those videos and not having that pressure of, oh, this channel's going to end soon. For me, it loses the magic. Honestly, for me, it loses the magic. And I'm sure that not everyone feels the same way that I do, but yeah. This lesson that I learned has helped me a lot, which is, it is possible to love something and to be totally invested in something, even knowing that it will come to an end, and even knowing that it will be over soon. Good things don't need to last forever to be good. And I feel that this has really helped me with friendships. I should say, like, I can still value a friendship, even when the person and I become distant. That doesn't make the friendship and the connection that we had invalid. That doesn't mean the time we had together as friends wasn't meaningful. Good things don't need to last forever to be good, you know? And yeah, it's sad to lose someone, and yeah, it's sad to lose that connection, but it's not the end of the world. And you can still think positively of your time together. I honestly, I think that's one of the ways that Unus Annus has really helped me, because I want to talk about this in another episode, but I sometimes find it difficult to lose a friend. I'm not someone who has many friends to begin with. I'm not someone who makes a lot of friends to begin with. It's not easy for me to build friendships, because I'm introverted, and socializing takes a lot of effort from me, and it's hard to make friends if you don't socialize. So when it used to be that when friends and I became distant, I didn't understand how to cope with it, and I felt like a bad person, and it was difficult for me. But you know, being on this journey with Unus Annus has shown me that good things don't need to last forever to still be good. They can last a week, 2 weeks, a couple of months. It can still be good. And I'm not sure if I'm explaining this very well, but I think the best example is like with a relationship. You can be romantically involved with someone, and they might not be your forever person. You know, you might not marry them. You might only be with them for a couple of months, but that doesn't make your relationship bad or pointless or worthless, or you know, it doesn't mean that your relationship together wasn't good, wasn't meaningful. It just meant that you weren't each other's forever people, and that's okay. It can still be good, even if it doesn't last forever. And I think that shift in perspective has helped me a lot. What else have I learned from watching Unus Annus? I've learned that I actually enjoy gaming content. Since Unus and Annus went their separate ways, aka since Mark and Ethan became Mark and Ethan full time again, I've continued watching both of their channels, sort of on and off. I still enjoy. I've learned that I enjoy gaming content. I never thought that I would be one of those people, but like I said, it's kind of, I like having it in the background. It's just nice. It's kind of satisfying watching someone else play a game for you. I don't know. I really enjoy it. What else? I've learned that, you know how I said that Unus Annus sort of managed to make a video out of anything? I've kind of learned that, you know, you gotta appreciate the hilarity of the small moments in life. Even the most mundane and menial and sort of boring things, they can lead to some really interesting shenanigans. So, you know, I mean, that's always something that's always a sort of philosophy that I've carried with me. Like, you don't have to do anything exciting to have a fun and fulfilled and hilarious life. But it was kind of reinforced after I watched Unus Annus. I carry that philosophy with me and my sister. Like, we'll just be talking, or we'll just be hanging out playing chess, or making mashed potatoes, and hilarious moments will happen. I do sort of want to make a whole podcast episode dedicated to moments like funny moments that have happened in my family, and I'm sure my feature will be. I mean, I'm sure my sister will be a prominent feature. Maybe at some point I'll share. There's a particularly hilarious mashed potato and herbs incident that always brings a smile to my face. And I think finally, what Unus Annus has it's not really a lesson, but it's just a reminder that I am living through history. I am living through moments of history that one day I will be responsible for telling those stories. And I guess I'm already telling the story here with this episode. It's just like history history is always in the making. But like this was an actual example of like, oh, history is in the making and I am seeing, I am observing, I am part of history in the making, you know? And I think too, it's easy to think that history is something that happened in the past. But history is always happening in the sense of moments are always being made. And one day I and other people, I'm sure, will be responsible for telling the story of Unus Annus and the community and the channel and the lore and the message. And hopefully I've managed to impart some of that onto you. And hopefully, I don't know, hopefully you found it interesting. Go watch those compilation videos if you want. And, you know, like I said, life is short. The clock is always ticking. Memento Mori. Unus Annus. That's all we have time for today, folks. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I hope you found it interesting. If you've got any topic suggestions, if you've got any, you know, if you watched Unus Annus, oh my God, if you watched Unus Annus, please, I beg of you, send me an email to occasionallyinsightfulpodcast@gmail.com. Can I speak? I've been speaking for an hour. My mouth is no longer functioning. If you've watched Unus Annus and you have a story or you want to recount something, if you want to tell me how it impacted you or you want to share your favorite moment, send me an email to occasionallyinsightfulpodcast@gmail.com. Occasionallyinsightfulpodcast@gmail.com. Occasionally, like I said, 2 C's, 1 S, 2 L's. Or you can hit me up on Twitter. I am @pod_insightful. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, leave a comment, leave a like, and I will see you next time.